For decades, we believed the Maya emerged as a single mysterious people, rose to cosmic heights, and then vanished. But DNA recovered from ancient bones has flipped this script, revealing unexpected migrations, deep genetic diversity within their greatest cities, and strands of ancestry running unbroken through centuries of upheaval. What these new genetic discoveries uncover about the real Maya civilization challenges everything we thought we knew. The evidence forces us to look deeper. So what did DNA truly reveal, and why does it matter now? In a sealed laboratory behind thick glass and filtered air, the story of the Maya begins not with a glyph or a ruin, but with a tiny fragment of bone. Dr. Shigeki Nakagome and his team work in a space where every surface is wiped with bleach, and ultraviolet lights burn away stray DNA. Here, ancient samples, often the dense petrous bone from the skull, are handled with gloves and full body suits, never touched by bare skin. The goal is simple but demanding. Keep modern DNA out and let the ancient voices speak for themselves. Each sample is logged, weighed, and drilled with precision tools to extract powder from deep inside the bone, where contamination is least likely. The fragments are so old that most DNA has broken down, but the petrous bone, the hardest in the body, preserves enough to unlock entire genomes. On average, less than 1 in 1,000 DNA molecules comes from modern sources. Contamination rates are routinely measured below 0.1%. Every batch includes negative controls, blank tubes that should yield nothing. If even a trace of foreign DNA appears, the entire process is repeated. The extracted powder is treated with enzymes that break open cells, releasing the genetic code. Sequencing machines read millions of short fragments, each just a few dozen letters long. These fragments are checked for telltale patterns of age, deamination at the ends, where cytosine turns to thymine over centuries, marking the DNA as genuinely ancient. The team looks for depth of coverage, making sure enough of the genome is sequenced to draw real conclusions about ancestry and population structure. Careful analysis reveals whether the sample belongs to a male or female, and if the DNA shows signs of being mixed with modern material. Only after passing these tests do the researchers begin to compare the ancient Maya genomes to those of modern populations and other ancient peoples. The strict protocols and advanced technology mean that the genetic signals uncovered here can be trusted. These are not echoes or guesses, they are direct records of who the Maya were, preserved in bone and decoded with the highest standards of modern science. Dr. Nakagome's careful approach lays the groundwork for every discovery that follows, ensuring that each claim about migration, ancestry, and continuity is built on solid evidence, not speculation. Dr. Christina Warrener peers over a set of graphs, her finger tracing population curves that refuse to stay flat. Early Maya ancestry, she explains, is anything but simple. Ancient DNA and strontium isotope analysis from teeth show that many individuals, buried in what would later become Maya heartlands, were not born there. Some spent their childhoods hundreds of kilometers away, their bones recording the geology of distant hills and river valleys. This evidence points to a world in motion, waves of people arriving long before the first great cities rose from the jungle. Genome-wide studies of remains from southern Belize and the Petén Basin reveal two major migration pulses. The first, nearly 10,000 years ago, brought a branch of people whose DNA still echoes in modern Maya genomes. The second, between 5,600 and 3,700 years ago, carried ancestry linked to Chibchan-speaking groups from northern South America. These newcomers left their mark in the genetic code, blending with the earlier population and laying the groundwork for what would become the Maya civilization. Radiocarbon dates confirm that these migrations predate the classic Maya cities by centuries, sometimes by more than 600 years. Warrener points to the genome data. The ancient Maya are not a single isolated group. Their genetic signatures match with distant populations, including those from the highlands of Mexico and the Caribbean coast. Mitochondrial DNA haplogroups found in burials from Yucatan and Chiapas show links that stretch far beyond the Maya lowlands. Instead of a closed society, the evidence reveals a network of people on the move, adapting to new climates, new crops, and new neighbors. The story hidden in the DNA challenges old assumptions. The Maya did not descend from a single founding tribe. Their ancestors arrived in pulses, each wave bringing new genes, new languages, and new ways of life. By the time the first monumental cities appeared, the population was already a mosaic, shaped by centuries of migration and mixing. The Maya world began as a crossroads, its roots tangled, its origins shared. The next chapter in their story unfolds as these diverse groups begin to build something together, the cities and kingdoms that would define a civilization. At the heart of every Maya city, power shaped not just the skyline, but the very DNA of its people. Royal tombs at Copan, sealed for over 1,000 years, hold the remains of individuals whose genetic signatures differ from those buried just a few hundred meters away. Autosomal cluster graphs, those dense webs of data that map ancestry, draw a sharp line between the city's ruling elite and its commoners. In the royal acropolis, genomes reveal a blend of local Maya ancestry and a distinct thread from the highlands of central Mexico. About 8% of elite lineages carry this highland component, a genetic echo of outsiders who arrived centuries before, perhaps as allies, conquerors, or marriage partners. Yet the story written in the bones of the city's outskirts is different. Commoner burials, scattered beneath house floors and in simple graves, show a striking continuity with the earliest Maya settlers. Their genetic profiles cluster tightly together, rooted in the local landscape with little sign of highland admixture. One marker stands out, the Y chromosome haplogroup QM3, a lineage that traces back to the first Americans who crossed the Bering Land Bridge. This haplogroup appears in both elites and commoners, but the pattern is telling. While the royal tombs sometimes share it, the associated autosomal DNA points to separate family trees. In one case, two males interred with great ceremony shared the same Y lineage but showed no close kinship, suggesting ritual, not blood, bound their fates. The genetic divide was not absolute. Some intermediate burials, likely sub-elites or officials, carry traces of both local and highland ancestry, hinting at a social ladder with many rungs. But the overall picture is clear. Maya cities were mosaics of people, their social worlds reflected in their genomes. Elites moved along distant marriage and alliance networks, importing foreign genes and ideas, while the majority built their lives on inherited land, passing down both maize and DNA through generations. These findings challenge the old image of a single Maya bloodline ruling over a homogeneous people. Instead, power and ancestry were linked but not identical. Status, mobility, and identity all left their mark in the code of life, preserved beneath layers of stone and earth. Beneath the soaring temples and silent plazas, another kind of network pulsed through the Maya world, one built not from stone or bloodlines, but from the clatter of markets and the movement of people. DNA taken from ancient merchant quarters tells a story that written records never captured. In cities like Chunchukmal, genetic evidence reveals a striking pattern. The people living near bustling marketplaces carried far more diverse mitochondrial DNA than those in palace compounds just a short walk away. Market districts acted as crossroads, drawing in traders, artisans, and families from distant regions. One genetic marker stands out, a mitochondrial DNA lineage common along the Gulf Coast, more than 1,000 kilometers from the Maya lowlands. In the merchant neighborhoods of Chunchukmal, this Gulf Coast marker appears in about 12% of sampled individuals, a frequency 3 times higher than in elite residential areas. The city's palaces, by contrast, show a genetic profile rooted in the local landscape, with little sign of outside maternal ancestry. Trade did more than move obsidian blades and cacao beans. It moved people. Strontium isotope analysis of teeth from market burials shows that many individuals spent their childhoods far from where they were buried, their bones recording the geology of distant coastlines and volcanic highlands. Merchants, porters, and visiting traders brought new genes with them, introducing fresh lineages into local communities. Over generations, these exchanges left a genetic footprint that is still visible today. The impact of trade on Maya genetics is not just a matter of numbers. In cities with major marketplaces, the diversity of maternal lineages is up to 3 times higher than in settlements dominated by royal courts. This pattern repeats across the lowlands. Wherever commerce flourished, so did genetic mixing. Marketplace mobility, not royal decree or military conquest, was the main engine of gene flow across the Maya world. The story written in DNA suggests that the Maya were connected less by the will of kings than by the steady rhythm of trade, an ancient network where every deal, every journey, quietly shaped who the Maya would become. Ana. Maya sits in a small village in western Guatemala, her hair woven in the traditional style her grandmother taught her. She has never seen the inside of a laboratory, but a sample of her saliva, collected with her careful consent, travels thousands of miles to a university lab. There, her DNA is sequenced and compared to the genomes recovered from ancient Maya burials. The results are striking. Ana shares more than 92% of her genome with classic period Maya individuals unearthed at Ceibal, a city abandoned over 1,000 years ago. The overlap is not a vague resemblance, but a deep statistical match, one that persists across hundreds of thousands of genetic markers. Scientists run the numbers in every direction, checking for signs of replacement or outside influx after the so-called collapse. Instead, the data show a remarkable persistence. Modern Maya genomes align so closely with those from ancient Ceibal that over 80% of their DNA can be traced directly to ancestors who lived, farmed, and built cities in the same region centuries earlier. Even as cities fell and populations shrank, the genetic thread remained unbroken. This continuity is not just a number on a graph. It is visible in the faces, languages, and traditions of people like Ana, whose family histories stretch back through generations of maize farmers and storytellers. The DNA evidence confirms what many Maya communities have always claimed. They are not the remnants of a lost world, but the living descendants of those who built it. The collapse did not erase them. Epidemics, droughts, and conquest left scars, but the core ancestry endures. For Ana, the story in her blood is a quiet affirmation. Her genome carries the same patterns found in ancient bones, echoing a lineage that survived upheaval and change. The science does not just rewrite Maya history. It gives new weight to the voices that have insisted all along that the Maya never vanished. The past is not buried. It is alive in the present, woven into every cell. The story written in Maya DNA does not end with the collapse of cities or the survival of a single bloodline. Instead, it points to something larger, a civilization built as a network, not a tribe. Genetic evidence reveals that Maya identity was never rooted in a single ancestral group or a closed community. Instead, it was shaped by centuries of mixing, movement, and exchange, by people who spoke different languages, carried different lineages, and shared a common culture long before they shared a common genome. The genetic patchwork found in burials from Copan, Chichen Itza, and Ceibal reflects this reality. Each region, each city, even each neighborhood, holds its own blend of ancestral threads. In some places, genomes carry echoes of highland Mexico. In others, traces of Caribbean or South American roots. These differences do not undermine the unity of Maya civilization. Rather, they show how culture traveled faster and farther than genes. The Maya world was tied together by shared stories, rituals, and technologies, not by a single family tree. Linguistic patterns mirror the genetic findings. Dozens of Maya languages flourished across the lowlands and highlands, often in close proximity. Borrowed words and grammatical structures moved along trade routes and through marriage alliances, outpacing the slow drift of DNA. Archaeological evidence supports this network model. Pottery styles, architectural techniques, and religious symbols spread rapidly between distant cities, linking communities that remain genetically distinct for generations. The Maya calendar, the ball game, and the hieroglyphic script became universal markers of identity, even as the people who used them came from different backgrounds. This network model reframes what it means to be Maya. It is not a question of pure ancestry or ancient bloodlines, but of belonging to a cultural world that welcomed outsiders, absorbed new ideas, and survived through adaptation. The genetic record confirms what Maya oral histories have always suggested. Identity is inherited through stories and traditions as much as through DNA. The civilization that rose in the jungles of Mesoamerica was never the project of a single people. It was, and remains, a living network held together by culture, memory, and the enduring power of shared meaning. Today, Maya descendants still walk the same lands, carrying genetic threads stretching back millennia. As ancient DNA reveals, their civilization was shaped by movement, connection, and exchange, not isolation. This challenges every myth of lost worlds or vanished peoples. The true legacy isn't a single bloodline, but a living culture, resilient, diverse, and still redefining itself. What other histories might we rewrite once we read the code beneath our skin?